Let me whisper a secret.
It wasn't Hunter's cocaine, it was my cocaine.
Don't tell Mommy what I told you.
I'm recording.
Oh, you're recording.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
And hey, sometimes speaking the truth is a very freeing experience, and he had to tell somebody. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Zukerdaski here of wearechange.org, and there is a lot of absolutely wild and crazy news to get into, especially when it comes to all the latest domestic news with the presidential elections coming up very shortly, with some very odd and weird moves that are being made in our current political circus. Lots of embarrassing things, lots of other geopolitical things, international news happening right now, especially with Ukraine. We're going to be getting into all of that, plus a lot more, all here on this broadcast, which, of course, is supported by you, the viewers. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was done by the very talented D. Franzer Memes, that, of course, edited this highly entertaining clip that, of course, clearly was doctored, just like this clip as well.
Yeah. You're good. Let me whisper a secret. Don't tell Mommy what I told you. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
That clip being, of course, doctored, but absolutely hilarious, knowing that the President of the United States is, of course, a notorious kid sniffer. He's also known for not being all there, as the latest videos from his trip from the United Kingdom are coming out, showing him, not really spry at all. Even recently pissing off King Charles after grabbing at him and his arm, talking to the King's Guard, which is a big no-no, and it really did piss off Charles, who scolded their own personal security detail. Yeah, seems like the old guys are pretty angry, and of course, this makes sense, especially with the latest Axios article that just came out a couple hours ago, talking about Biden's private fury and how behind the scenes, he's the exact opposite of the friendly uncle ice cream eating charismatic old man that he plays for the corporate media, and in reality has a, quote, quick trigger temper, with aides even doing their best to avoid meeting with him alone, trying to take colleagues into his office as a shield against what they call now a solo blast, as the President of the United States is being accused of launching obscenities, treating people like trash, and having many outbursts, with senior levels inside of the Biden administration saying that, quote, no one is safe, and that, quote, there's no question that the Biden temper is for real. And what did you expect from a corrupted career politician whose son is involved with many mysterious big money interests from around the world while having a major substance abuse problem? This, as there's a new FBI damning memo showing how Hunter took at least $5 million in the name of a bribe, while, of course, the DOJ, the corporate media, and big tech social media colluded together to cover up all of his illicit, criminal, and very nasty, disgusting actions that were clearly portrayed in videos and photos that were suppressed before the 2020 presidential election, which Joe Rogan has some very interesting comments about, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. All of this is happening as, of course, this is the same administration that is bringing us closer to World War III, something that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. criticized today, specifically going after U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, that recently teamed up and spoke with Donald Trump in South Carolina, as of course today he is proposing a resolution to add Ukraine into NATO immediately, which would absolutely propel the world towards a global world conflict. All of this as there might even be a possibility here where Turkey and Hungary might allow Ukraine to join NATO. All of this as today we're also finding out that Ukraine and Turkey just violated a prisoner exchange agreement that was signed last year between the three countries that prevented many of the soldiers that were captured by the Russians from returning back to Ukraine, as today we're finding out that they just returned back to Ukraine. This as we're also hearing rumors that Vladimir Putin just met with Yevgeny Prigozhin, the former Wagner chief that allegedly wanted a coup d'etat in Russia just a few days ago, highlighting that one of the theories that we expressed here of what was really happening here could potentially be true. All of this as world governments are rushing to get their hands on the latest killer robots, battlefield artificial intelligence, and technocratic genocidal weapons of mass destruction. So yeah, that's happening. And before the end of potentially the world's existence, make sure before doing anything else that you sign up to lukeunfiltered.com and try to make the most out of the human experience that we all share here today. As of course, this is a platform that we created. It's our own. By joining it, you support us. It's just 50 cents a day, and we give you a huge plethora of value that is only available to you. 3 master classes, a forum to find like-minded individuals, a place to even send me videos to react to, members-only t-shirts that you could get at cost with also exclusive designs that you can't get anywhere else unless you're a member, and a brand new spanking video ready for you today centered around helping individuals as best as we can. You add an AMA to this, you add in real life meetups, and you right there have an amazing offer of value that you could get right now just by clicking the link down in the description below and signing up to lukeunfiltered.com. As of course, in today's video, we will be talking about the dating world, and I will be describing to you the horrors of the absolutely insane, ridiculous situations that I have found myself in here in Miami. I'll be sharing some of the horror stories, some of the social economic dynamics happening in the dating world, which freaking hell is just going to be a very interesting video to say the least. That video available to you on lukeunfiltered.com. See you there right after this video, as of course we are not done here, as this presidential election is shaping up in favor of the former president of the United States, and there's no denying this, especially with even CNN's Jake Tapper coming out and saying that the former president of the United States has, quote, knocked everybody in the news media off and, quote, poses a major challenge to media organizations covering him, and the polls are not wavering, and it looks like Donald Trump is going to be, as of right now, the clear frontrunner for the Republican presidential candidacy, as he is absolutely dominating everyone else. As even USA Today puts it, that Trump is stronger during this election cycle than he was in 2016, and I would agree with them on their assessment. And one of the reasons why that is I think because of the very strong statements that Donald Trump made when it comes to foreign policy and what he would do to end the current conflict happening right now in Ukraine. Statements that are very anti-war and very different than almost everyone else running for the presidency of the United States. Statements that, of course, have also impressed Joe Rogan, an online media commentator that is, quote, more popular than ever, even according to Newsweek, that had to admit that his popularity is at an all-time high, even according to recent polls, showing that he is the most, quote, lucrative and most listened to podcast in the world. This as Joe Rogan has praised the former president of the United States for being one of the few individuals daring to speak out against the war and claiming to, of course, be able to end it in 24 hours, which the current president of Ukraine actually contested a little bit, saying that Biden could actually end it in 5 minutes if he decides to concede to land. Clearly giving a PR statement here, as it's pretty known to a lot of individuals that it is the United States that has hindered a lot of the peace deals and talks here that have already been preliminarily agreed to. And there are multiple incidences of this happening, specifically with even the Prime Minister of Israel saying some very eye-opening things about this situation. We, of course, also had the situation with Boris Johnson, and we even have documents and signed agreements shown by the Russian government showing how peace deals here were knowingly thrown out. Now, will Donald Trump actually be able to end this conflict? Well, who knows, but that's a very stark difference of stance than, of course, his main key counterpart, and that is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, that has been very wishy-washy on this issue, previously releasing a statement to Tucker Carlson that was kind of a baseline, middle-of-the-road answer that could have been interpreted in many different ways. He received some pushback on that middle-of-the-road answer on Ukraine, and then he came out and doubled down on the official narrative of the situation, like most neoconservatives have represented, and he lost a lot of people and a lot of support because of that. And I would say predominantly because Trump, other than RFK Jr. and maybe Vivek Ramaswamy, represent voices that are some of the only voices against this war and are trying to de-escalate it and stop it. And I think this is something that Joe Rogan recognizes, and this could be one reason why the two just recently met in Las Vegas, Nevada at a recent UFC event where the former president of the United States got a standing ovation. Specifically pointing out to Joe Rogan, walking up to him and having some few words, which made Joe Rogan chuckle, with the Daily Mail responding to this by writing an article saying, "All is forgiven?" Trump shakes hand with Joe Rogan despite podcaster famously calling the former president a, quote, existential threat to democracy and a man baby. Those comments, of course, being old comments, as Joe's recent comments were talking about how, quote, the 2020 elections were rigged by the media, especially with the Russian collusion and Hunter Biden laptop stories that were engineered by intelligence agencies, ignored by the majority of the corporate media, suppressed by big tech social media, while politicians ran with this fake news as ammunition against the former president of the United States, all based on premises that were made up and total lies, showing that, yes, I think Joe Rogan is right here, and there was clear collusion by very powerful institutions and individuals within government intelligence agencies, big tech social media companies, the corporate media, that all worked together against the former president of the United States. And now with Donald Trump representing one of the few and only voices that are really pushing for anti-war, even with just statements, who knows exactly what the policies will look like, as of course the Donald Trump presidency policies looked a lot different than what he promised them to be. And on several occasions, he has escalated the situation in Ukraine himself personally by even deciding to send lethal weapons there, being the first president to do so, doing a bolder move than even Barack Obama would have done, while of course also launching bombing raids and attacks on Syria and many other places in the world, which he made sure there was no data collections from. So yes, Donald Trump is talking a good game. Will it actually amount to something when he becomes president of the United States? That, of course, is something else that we will have to wait to see, as of course he is becoming more popular than ever, as he also chatted with Mel Gibson, Roger Stone, and Joe Rogan at this recent UFC event. And will this signal a potential podcast between him and Joe Rogan? Well, I think the probability of that could be getting increasingly higher and more probable, especially after Joe Rogan just interviewed RFK Jr. on his podcast and gave him a fair interview, which Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not really getting in the corporate media. And with RFK Jr. getting a platform on the Joe Rogan podcast, will Donald Trump get that platform? Well, with the way that the stars are aligning, with everything that's moving in the current direction that it's in right now, hell, it could happen any day now. Do you think it will? Let me know down in the comment section below. Press 1 if you think Donald Trump will be on the Joe Rogan podcast. Press 2 if you think it will never happen. It'll be curious to see your answers down in the comment section below. I got one more crazy video coming your way on lukeunfiltered.com, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up on that platform, and that's why, because you do, because you share this video, that's why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.